Hey, David, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm okay, I guess.
Ready to start this semester out via
This
Zoom.
is this is the first time I've actually taught a class with Zoom. I've done Zoom sessions, but my fall classes were all online. So this is
Okay.
different, but it is
Hey,
what it is.
we'll get through it together. We'll learn together, and we'll make it
Yeah.
through. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah. And this class, because of the way it's a cases class, there was really no option. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't record it. It has to be. So
Yes,
it
ma'am.
is what it is. Okay, I am just taking the roll here. David, Stephen's here. Frankie's here. Heather is here. They make me take the roll. They're very, Heather's, yeah. Go away. Go away. Okay, we'll give it a second here before we get started. How's everybody doing? We had a long break.
Doing all right. The break was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I thought. I
Yeah.
don't think I've really been to school since spring break of, you know, last
When
year.
I was getting everything together last night for today, and I thought, I haven't actually lectured since March.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I lectured on March the 5th and left for spring break. And that was no wonder this seems a little strange to you. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, let's get back together here. Come on. I swear.
For sure.
Fortunately, we're still missing a couple. Who are we missing? Missing Elizabeth and Bradley and Shay. They'll show up. My email's popping up. Anyway,
There's only 10 of us.
there's nine.
Not 9 of us. Yeah.
Nine. Yeah, I'm the 10th one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the 10th one. Yeah, there's nine. While we're doing this, I shall play with. Oh, no, I can't do that. Never mind. I was using a virtual background with a green screen, which is exactly what's behind me, except the picture of the virtual background is better than the lighting when I'm just here. And it was doing funny stuff. So I moved the background. So I'm in my office at home.
I don't even know how to do that. So you're ahead of me,
So it's down there in the video thing. And you can take pictures and here. I don't want to stop the video. I want to show you. If I choose a virtual background.
Oh.
See? That's the virtual base. See, it's exactly the same thing, except see how it makes your hair do funny stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So I changed it, and I don't know why. The green screen's not there right now. I moved it. I'll go back to none. Oh, yeah. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm upstairs because if I was downstairs with my big computer and stuff, I'd be in the same room with the dogs.
That would be
Cheap as
fun.
they are. If they see a squirrel or a chipmunk, it'll wipe out all audio. So I thought, nah, we better be upstairs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know how that is. There's Elizabeth. Hey there. Okay, we're missing two, Bradley and Shay. Well, it's recording, so I'll go on and start talking. This is Finance 431, Financial Decision Making. This is going to be a different class. I keep getting pop-ups. What are you telling me there? This is going to be a bit different because right off the bat, you don't have a textbook. There's something right there. It's a corporate finance class in general, and it's aimed at making you look at things from more the perspective you would out in the business world. In other words, sometimes the cases don't tell you everything you need to know. You have to assume something or choose which risk-free rate to use or something like that. Course materials. Let me share my screen. I want this right here, I think. There we go. There's the syllabus. And I'll put that down. Maybe it'll make it bigger. Go away. I'm on a Surface Pro, and it's not just fantastic, but there we go. It's a set of Harvard business cases, and that's the course pack right there. It's $108. The optional items, I can tell you exactly what they are. They're audios. There's 6 of them. So if you're driving and you want to listen to the case in the car, you can, or listen to it instead of reading it, you can listen to it. So that's the extra $6. So if you follow that link, you can buy the thing. Probably going to be useful. You probably already got a financial calculator. But the truth is just about everything in this class is going to be Excel. It's going to be very much focused on Excel. Now, if you have your notes, this thing moves quicker than I want. If you have your notes from 338, that would be good. But when I lecture, what's going to happen is I'm going to lecture on a topic, then you're going to have cases on that topic. Then I'll lecture on the next topic. And the lectures typically come from 338. So if you have those notes or that textbook, that's, going to be helpful. The exams are in Excel. All of the cases have templates with them that are Excel templates that you need to solve the case. So that's kind of how it's going to work. Now, I am going to lecture tonight, but I think I looked at the schedule and I only lecture about 4 times. I'm going to lecture. It's going to be recorded. I'll post it. Your case presentations are going to be through Zoom, and we'll record those too. PowerPoint slides for everything I'm going to talk about are already out there, actually. Course pack, there's 20 cases. The first case is not for grade, financial analysis. It's the first one, because it's to get everybody to kind of see what these are like. There are 7 individual homework assignments, 7 cases that you do alone, and there are 12 that are group assignments. And we'll talk about how those are going to work. Let's see if I can scroll down without this up. Okay. The group that presents it is going to cover the case completely, present the background, explain how they solved it, and defend their solution. You can use PowerPoint. I want you to use the Excel template, of course, and show us how you did it. And I'd like for you to post it, and I'll show you where this is, under case groups so that we can all look at it, under the presentation exchange so we can all look at it. Now, another group is assigned to write up the case. They're going to do exactly the same thing, except they're not going to present it. They're going to write it up. And they're charged with leading any discussion on the case. Now, here's the thing about these cases. They're in the Harvard case pack, but they don't all come from Harvard. They come from a lot of different schools, Darden School of Business, all over. The professor who wrote the case has given me a solution. I have a solution. It's not necessarily the only one. It may not even be the best one. If you can defend your answer, go for it. That's what makes this a bit different. Now, we are, as a school, putting emphasis on oral and written presentation skills. So I'll be looking at that in both the write-ups and in the presentations. If you think about this, y'all are all seniors. You're getting ready to graduate. Hopefully get out there and get a job. You can have the best idea on the planet, but if you can't write it up and stand up and defend it, you're not going to go anywhere. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Now, the case studies. Send them to me. Email. One in an email. Put the case, because I like to keep them all separated. Okay. Academic integrity, you know all about that. Class attendance. You do need to take the syllabus quiz by Friday. So I can count you. I can count you there because I've seen you here, but take the syllabus quiz. If you need any type of accommodation, it'll be on the test, of course. Be sure and get that into the Office of Student Disability, so I'll get the notice and I can set it up. Okay, we're going to have 2 midterm exams, comprehensive final. You've got 7 individual cases and 12 team cases. On the individuals, I'll throw one of them away. We're going to do a simulation that is going to be part of your participation grade. All the exams are computer-based. You'll get a formula sheet. You can use your calculator, but it's in Excel. You're going to be given a template to complete. Obviously, if you're in business, you're going to need to use Excel. I don't know how many ways I can say that. Nothing is going to be in here that's going to be, there's no pivot tables or anything like that. There's nothing fancy. It's add, subtract, multiply, divide, copy things down, all of that kind of thing. We don't even get much to functions until we get to capital budgeting and NPV and IRR. Now, you can plug a number in. You can solve it in your calculator and plug a number in. But here's the problem with that. that eliminates the potential for partial credit. Because if I can't see how you got your wrong number, I can't figure out if you deserve partial credit for it or not. So the fact that it's in Excel is sort of a show your work, which in finance, we really like show your work. Whoop, zips right along. There you go. Individual cases are 15%. Presented cases are 10.5%. Written are 5.5%. Exam, class attendance and participation. The simulation is part of a participation. And the final exam is 25. Now, I imagine at this point, y'all have all used Proctorio. You do have to use it. Online tests have to be proctored. Again, university requirement. And you probably already know all the requirements. You've got to use Chrome. You've got to have a web camera. You have to install the extension. In fact, you have to install the extension to do the syllabus quiz. It's going to record everything about you. It's going to watch you while you do this. If you, for any reason, have equipment that cannot handle it, you can go to the Jackson Avenue Testing Center in Oxford or to one of the regional campuses and test there. But we'll have to make arrangements for you to do that. So, let me know if you need to do it. Now, no makeups. If you don't like your grade, you can elect for your final to count for 40%. Is that right? Should be 45, I think. But anyway, you can elect for your final to overlay one. Now, on the individual cases, I'm just going to grade them on a scale of 0 to 10. I will post the grades. Obviously, I won't mail them. Now, I have created the groups, and I'll show them to you in a minute. And the reason I did it was because we're not all together. I did it because you're going to have to be mixed DeSoto and Tupelo. So every group, there's 3 groups of 3 each. Every group has got at least, well, there's 6 in DeSoto and 3 in Tupelo. So you can figure out how that's going to work out. Every one of the cases has an Excel template. I'll show it to you. On the individual cases, the write-up and the solution is due in before the date we're going to cover it in class. On the group cases, you can send it in after you present in class. I keep getting little pop-ups for some reason. Okay. Now, I expect all 3 of the team members in each group to participate, but it's up to you who presents. It may be that you want to swap off and each person present a part of it. It may be that you want one person to present the whole thing. That's okay. This is not, right there it says, I am available for coaching and feedback. This is not meant to be a gotcha. If you need some help with it, let me know. I will be happy to help you with the cases. Okay, here's the case setup. Group 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. We got a lot going on. And here is our assignment schedule. And here we go. Whoop, zip down. Okay. I'm doing the introduction right now. I am going to talk a little bit about 331. I'm going to point you to some Excel review material, and I am going to talk about financial analysis and percentage of sales, AFN, that type of thing. Next week, financial help, that's an all. All of you need to work that. It's not for credit. I just want you to do it so you can see what the cases look like, what you're expected to do. Jones Electric is for credit. Group 1's going to present it, and Group 2 is going to write it up. Okay, let me get back over here to Blackboard. Any questions so far? Schedule email. Okay, I don't know that I posted. Well, here's the individual cases. There's the individual. Let me find one. The solutions. I'm thinking about what I want to. If you click on groups, come on. There you go. There's 3 groups with 3 people in the presentation exchange, which everybody's in. When you click on groups, you should only see your group. And I can show you one of them right here. Maybe I can. There you go. Elizabeth, Heather, and Stephen. That's the group. The templates. Group case templates. Let me jump over here and see if they're open. This is so slow. Let's go. There we go. Financial analysis. Okay, here's financial help. Open it now. Well, I didn't really want to do that, but I will. I'll put it there. I can open it up. Hang on a minute while I go get it so you can see what one looks like. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, there's a template. Each template has got the questions I want answered, and it's got the data conveniently presented for you. Read the case, answer the questions, work through the data. Now, obviously, this one is pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. It's a small case, but I want you to see what one looks like. Okay, and let me go back to my screen. Financial help. Okay. Group case templates. They're all there. Some of them are going to be longer than others. Questions so far? Ah, Shay has come. Hey, Shay, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm here.
You and me.
How
How was your break?
It was okay. It was okay. It was long. I mean,
It was long, but it felt like it went by real fast, though.
yeah, I know. It seemed even longer. I was telling them I hadn't lectured in a class, lectured since last March.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I know. It's really it's weird. And I tell you, I went for my eye doctor appointment last week, and the technician was saying, does the glare from headlights bother you when you're driving at night? And I thought, when do you think I have been driving at night? I mean, be real. I barely drive. Good Lord. I'm hating this home thing.
I hear you.
I'm glad I can stay. I'm tired of it.
Sure.
I'm tired. Yeah.
It's different for us students.
But,
Too. You know, I do a lot better in person and in class, but you know.
it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. Not much we can do about it. I know this is not for everybody at all. But as I was saying, this class, I mean, I could record 331. This you can't record because y'all are going to do presentations. And so we need to be in this environment to do it. Okay. You all look through the syllabus. If you have any questions about it, you are certainly welcome to email me or whatever. What I am going to do then is talk about.
I have one quick question.
Okay.
Using Proctorio through our exams with Excel. My Excel is for the free student, which is online. Do you know if that differs if it's not downloaded to my actual desktop? It allowing me to go to a different web. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know. Email me that and let me ask the help desk. Let me ask Amelia what we need to do about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. I can do
Another
that.
thing, and I'll remind you of all of this right before the test. Amelia Robbins, who's our Blackboard guru, has advised me that there's some problem with this new, they upgraded Blackboard over the holidays. Some of it looks different now. There's a problem with the test format called file response, which is what I'm using. When you click on the test, it's going to let you download a template, and then you come back and upload it back right there, just like you do an assignment. There's some issue with that uploading part that sometimes it doesn't work. So I'm going to remind you, not only go ahead and do that, but go on and email it to me directly too. I mean, there's only 9 of you. I'm not going to be swamped with email. I'd rather have it twice than not at all, than have a problem with it. So I'll remind you before the test. You email me about that and let me find out what the answer is. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Will
don't know.
do.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the answer.
Okay. Good deal.
Okay. Let me get over here and find out what I want to do next. Okay, there is something right here under getting down here to exhibits. Case analysis. This is pretty good. This case analysis guidelines, let me find it for you. It reviews ratios, which you might need for financial analysis there. Reviews the ratios. It's got some notes about case analysis. Don't read the questions first. Read the case first. Kind of give it a once over. Look at the data there. Be prescriptive, not descriptive. Analyze. The whole idea of this class is to make you think more like you're going to have to in a real business environment. You know yourself. Every class up to now has had a book. They've had a textbook. And each chapter might have had a little case study at the back end. And you knew that the answer to everything in that case was in the chapter, because that's how it works. Well, here we are. All the answers are not in the book because there is no book. It's in the stuff you've studied so far. So that's what you're supposed to do, is to look back and figure out, oh, okay, we studied how to do that. Here's how I need to apply it. Okay, let me go back over here to this right here, and then I'm going to show you what it is. Excel basics, weighted average. There's a bunch of these little goodies out there. Well, I guess I could put it there. How are we with Excel? Most of you pretty good with it. There are some tutorials out here, right here. Excel tutorials, finance video, Excel tutorials. There's a bunch of them. Come on up. Excel basics, order of operations, and these are Microsoft. Microsoft does, I have to tell you, some very good ones. I have no idea why it keeps wanting to save it, but whatever. Open it up. Come on. There you go. Enable editing. It's got some good ones. This is 2016, and these are the others up here. I did these, and these are from Microsoft and GCF. So if you need some review on that, if you need some review on it, why don't you email me and I'll fit it in the next time I lecture, okay? So you don't have to just say out, I need some review on that. Okay, getting back over here. Let's see what I want to show you here. 431. 331 in a nutshell. It's a pretty big nutshell, but it's a nutshell. It's going to take a while. I think there's like 800 slides. No, 180. Here we go. Let me show you how this works from the beginning. Okay, here's the topics that were in 331. If you think, oh my gosh, I need to review, when we get to capital budgeting, I need to review cost of capital or NPV, just click on it. And there it is. You'll go through cost of capital. You can click and go back to the main index right there.
Hey,
So,
Dr. Kugley.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm sorry. Are you sharing your screen right now?
Oh, I should be.
I wasn't able to see anything. I didn't know if it was my computer.
Okay. Well, who knows? Apparently not. No, I should. I should just share my screen, period. And then, now are you seeing it?
Now I'm seeing it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
I should remember to just not pick the different screen, just share my screen, whatever is on my screen. Okay, let me go back to, there's the index. You pick, let me go back to slideshow. You pick cost of capital, it'll take you to the review on that. Take you back, take you to the review on that. So if you need to go back and review some of that, here it is. Okay, let me get out of that. Now, I am going to actually talk about financial analysis. I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do percent sales, financial planning. I'm going to do that one. And this should probably look familiar because a lot of it came from 338. Table editing, slideshow. Yeah. Slideshow from the beginning. Okay. We're talking about financial planning. We're going to talk about AFN again, but we're also going to talk about percent of sales. And we're going to pay a little bit more attention to percent of sales. Forecasted financial statements. That's where you kind of drill down a much better technique. 3 important uses. Forecast external financing that you're going to need for a sales increase. That's the big one. You can look at the impact that change is going to have. The one we're not going to pay any attention to is appropriate compensation targets. That's kind of out of our range here. The first step, no matter what, is to forecast sales. If you don't think sales are going to increase next year, then you don't need anything else. If you think sales are going to increase, then you're going to have to add assets or do something. Project the assets that are needed to support those sales. Figure out how much you can generate internally and then how much you're going to have to go outside for and where you're going to get it. Now, the last step, which we haven't looked a lot at, is how's that going to affect your ratios. So this is microdrive, and you can see this is old because this is from an old version of 338, but it doesn't matter. There's 5 years, their sales, and their growth rate. And it averaged 10.3. They could graph it, or they could use a Excel function, logist, and get it. But basically, they're going to use about 10%. They're going to expect their sales to grow by 10%. Okay. I want to move this thing out of the way. There we go. Okay. So here's the balance sheet, 2008, 2009. There's their income statement. Now, we're going to look at the AFN formula first. Remember that, chapter 16, 331. We're going to assume they're operating at full capacity. That means all assets grow with sales. Payables and accruals grow proportionally with sales. The profit margin and their retention ratio is going to stay the same. Sales are going to grow by 10%. Here's our formula. Remember how this works. This is the required increase in assets. This is what they're going to generate internally, spontaneously. This is what they're going to generate from retained earnings. Now, look at this. This is a ratio. That right there is a ratio. That's a ratio. M is profit margin. That's a ratio. Retention ratio is a ratio. So everything else has got to be dollars because that's got to be dollars. So the change in sales is not a percentage. They gave it to us as 10%, but in this formula, it's dollars. And of course, new sales is dollars. And there we have our variables. This looks just like we cover it in 331. And there it's making the point. Change in sales is dollars, not a percentage. Assets tied directly to sales. In this case, it's all of them. Last year's sales, next year's sales, the change. Liabilities that spontaneously increase with sales. If you remember, assets divided by sales is the capital intensity ratio. The higher that is, the more assets you need to support sales. Spontaneous liabilities ratio. Think back to net operating working capital, where you did not include notes payable. You don't include it here. Notes payable is not an operating function. It's a financing function. It doesn't increase with sales. Profit margin, retention ratio. And there are the key factors right there again. Putting them in for microdrive, 10% increase. Assets to sales, 66.667. Liabilities to sales, profit margin, retention ratio. Now here's where they came from. All of this came right off the balance sheet and income statement. Look up here. The liabilities over here, accounts payable and accruals. All right. Sales is right there. Retention ratio is the 56 divided by net income, right there. That's where they came from. Plug those in the formula, we get 118.42 million. Now, AFN formula requires a lot of assumptions. First off, you have to assume that they're operating at full capacity. You have to assume that the profit margin and retention ratio are going to stay the same. So it's kind of a back of the envelope number. I mean, you could get this pretty quickly. The effect on AFN. Obviously, higher sales, you're going to need more outside funding. Higher payout, you're going to need more outside funding. If you pay out less, then you retain less, so you're going to need more money. Higher profit margin, you're going to need less. Higher capital intensity ratio, you're going to need more. If you pay suppliers sooner, it decreases spontaneous liabilities, so your AFN is going to go up. Now, let's look at a more fine-tuned approach. It's called percent of sales, because the first thing you have to do is project sales. That's it. Forecast what items are a percent of sales, and then choose everything else. Costs, cash, accounts receivable, inventory, net fixed assets, and accounts payable and accruals are percent of sales. Given those assumptions, we can estimate what's required to support sales and figure out where to get the money. What this amounts to is we are going to forecast the income statement and the balance sheet. And the balance sheet has to balance. So whatever we're off, that's what we need. Whatever will make that balance is what we need. Now, interest expense. Interest is kind of hard. It's actually the daily balance of debt. And there's three ways to do it. Debt at the end of the year, which will probably, assuming they added debt during the year, that'll overstate your interest. Debt at the beginning of the year will probably understate it. If you use an average, that would probably be better, but you'll get circularity. End of year overstates it, and it causes circularity. Because more debt causes more interest, which reduces net income, blah, 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 and causes more debt. Beginning of year underestimates it, but you don't have a circularity problem. Average is the bit most accurate, but it creates circularity. So the choice is usually beginning of the year with a slightly higher rate. I don't think this is going to come up for us as something to be addressed. It's more something you kind of need to recognize. Okay, here are the pro forma ratios, 08 and 09. Historical average and the industry composite. There's the ones we're working toward right here. Note, net plant and equipment depreciation is not a percentage of sales. It's a percentage of net plant and equipment, which is a percentage of sales. Think about that. That means you have to go back and forth iteratively between the income statement and the balance sheet to get everything estimated. And we're going to look at that step by step. Okay. This was an old one, so the tax rate was 40%. 10% growth. Dividends going to grow by 8%. Interest rates on notes payable and all is 9. Long-term bonds 11. Preferred stock 10. Okay, here's where you did it. Sales grew up by 10%. Costs were 87.2% of sales. This is 10% of net plant and equipment, which is on the next slide. Interest expense, dividend went up. Yeah. Note, it's a percentage of net plant and equipment. We've got to go look at net plant and equipment to get it. There it is. It's a percentage of sales. So when we estimate that, we go back and do the other one. Come back over there and finish this out. And we get down to there. Addition to retained earnings. Add that in, and we come up that they are short 114.7. Now remember, using the AFN equation, we came up that they needed 118.42. More refined approach, as you can imagine, because this allows us to handle each line item separately. So it's a much more nuanced approach. Required additional notes payable. Here's how you know. Assets, 2,200. Liabilities, 2,085. So clearly, we got to have some more liabilities. We added the retained earnings. We're still short. We're going to add it in to notes payable. That's your plug. If they had had a surplus, it would have plugged into short-term investments. Those are your two places. Now, there's their sources of financing: accounts payable, accruals, notes payable. This was a carryover. This was before we added into it. Bonds, preferred, common, and retained earnings. That's the one where we plug it in. Now, clearly, if AFN is positive, then you need more money. If it's negative, you can pay off debt. You can buy back stock. Typically, firms put it in short-term investments. In other words, they just park it in short-term investments until they figure out kind of what to do with it. There. They add it to notes payable if they need more money. They add it to short-term investments. There it is. They're going to have assets to handle the sales. They've about another 115 whatever million. Now, they've looked at their firm. How are they going to get the money? Mature firms rarely issue common stock. If you remember, a mature firm with stock outstanding, it's a negative signal to the market to issue more common stock. Dividends do tend to increase at a fairly steady rate, so that's going to be hard to cut that back. Shareholders don't like that. Preferred stock, you just don't see much preferred stock anymore. And issuing long-term debt's a major event too. So most firms use short-term bank loans, notes payable, as their financial shock absorbers. So here's what they're going to do. No new common stock. They're going to get it through short-term debt, notes payable. And that's exactly where we added it. And now it balances. You should pay attention to this because I bet you're going to see it like on a test or something. What do you think? Probably AFN too. We balanced it. Now, the equation method assumes a constant profit margin, a constant retention, etc. The pro forma is a lot more flexible. It's a lot more work, but it's a lot more flexible. As I said, it allows you to handle each line item independently. Now, let's look at their ratios. Well, things didn't go that well. Their current ratio went down. Their days sales outstanding is pitiful, and it didn't change. Their debt ratio went up a little bit because they issued notes payable. Return on assets went up. Return on equity went up. Return on invested capital stayed put. Okay, they think they can make some changes. They think they can lower operating costs from 87.2% to 86% of sales. Not in a happy way, laying off workers, closing. They think they can reduce accounts receivable from 12.5 to 11.8 if they get more aggressive. You saw their days sales outstanding, 45.6, not good. And they think they can reduce inventory to sales from 20.5 to 16.7 by handling it more tighter inventory control. So look what this is going to do. This is their revised version. 86% there. There's the other two changed there. Now look. Now they've got a surplus. Making those changes, they've got a surplus, and we plug it into short-term investments. The impact of their improvements? Well, their current ratio went back up, closer to where it was. Their inventory turnover got a lot better. It's still not up to the industry average. Day sales outstanding came down a little bit, not much. Total asset turnover went up. Debt ratio went down. Profit margin went up. Return on equity, return on assets went up. Return on equity went up. Return on invested capital went up. So they improved their position in terms of ratios while also ending up with an excess, not having to go outside for funding. A couple of last topics here. Economies of scale. What it means is that the assets to sales ratio doesn't stay the same. It declines over time. There's an economy of scale. Yeah. Going from S sub 0 to 2,000 requires 1,000 in assets. You can't see what's under there, but it doesn't require that much. I don't know how to get rid of this little thing at the bottom. I don't think I can. Anyway, I can go back up. There we go. Economies of scale. That line is not a 45-degree angle. it tilts down. So the bigger you get, say here it's assets to sales is 0.5 and it drops to 0.44. So over time, you wouldn't need as many added assets to add sales. Lumpy assets is pretty common. If you think about any kind of business, it's lumpy. Other than using temporary talent, people are lumpy. Either you have a person or you don't. And think about let's think about it in terms of a manufacturing facility. You have a plant and you're running along and your sales are increasing and you add a second shift and you add a third shift. And finally, you've just reached saturation and you have to add the new facility. And now you've got excess capacity for a while until you fill it up. So there. The asset to sales changes if they're lumpy. What if they were not operating at full capacity? Suppose they'd been operating at 96% capacity. Well, then they could have supported up to 3125 in sales with the assets they had. So that they'd only need to add assets between 3,300 and 3,125. Full capacity. So their target fixed asset to sales ratio is 32%. There. Target fixed assets times their projected sales, 1056. But we projected 1,100. So that's going to reduce their need by $44 million. Brings it down to 74 million. How different factors affect it. Economies of scale leads to less than proportional asset increases. You've got to handle that individually. Lumpy assets, just like the little graph looked, large periodic AFN, and then a lot of excess capacity. Excess capacity lowers your AFN. There's your formula again. Now, what I want to talk about here, think about this formula. There's only really two ways. I mean, it's a formula. You could realistically be given all of the variables except one and solve for it. But there's only two ways to reasonably do it. Solve for AFN. I want to grow sales by, how much outside funding do I need? Or how much can I grow sales without going outside for any funding? I do not want to go outside for any outside funding. How much can I grow sales? Okay, we've been looking at the straightforward way. Now, in previous, when we looked at this in 331, the only way to do that, they showed, was to set AFN to 0 and basically solve for either S1 or the change in sales, which required more algebra than many people could handle. Fortunately, your 338 text gave you the formula. It's called self-supporting growth rate. How much can I grow with AFN being 0? Okay, solving for microdrive, they can grow 3.21% without going outside for any funding. And it's using the same variables that we were using in the basic equation. They have conveniently solved it for you. Y'all all remember that from previous classes? That ring bells?
Yes, ma'am, it sure does.
Was it a bell you liked, or was it when you hoped you'd never see again?
I mean, I like it.
I know the one you didn't like. Non-constant growth stock. Nobody likes that one. Ever.
I did an internship this summer as an accountant, and that's when I realized that was going to be a terrible place for me. So I'm working at a financial advisor firm right now.
Oh, and, good. Where are you working?
At Cooley and Labus in Corinth, Mississippi.
Whoa, good for you.
And so it's been fun. I've taken my life and health insurance exam, and I'm studying for my Series 65 now. So
fantastic.
They're putting me on the fast track.
That is fantastic. Yeah. I'm excited for you because in this climate, it's been hard.
Oh yeah.
I really, yeah. Some of my graduates that graduated last May, it's been really tough. Even if they can find a job, they're doing it like this.
Yeah.
And you're missing what I mean, I can remember back when I first went to work, you learn so much being there with the other people. Stupid stuff. Where do you get this? Where do you go for that? Who do you ask about that? You know,
Yeah.
just the stuff you learn from the other people, and they're not getting that.
Yeah, the one-on-one, like, you know, between me and Greg or Bubba, you know, it's just you can't get that through this. You know what I mean? And with new clients, you know,
You really
learn their nicks, you know, and it's insightful.
You really can't.
Yeah.
I hate that I hate that because for like me, I've already been working. I know who to call for everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's whatever. I still miss seeing my colleagues. I mean, I haven't been to Oxford since last fall. I haven't been to my office at DeSoto since, I went in September one day just to see if there was anything in my office I thought I might need. There was like nobody there. I don't know. We'll get past this. We'll get past it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me show you something else. I have another thing that I want to show you. A couple of things. Well, there's what I want. I have examples. I think it's this one. It's coming. It's coming. Okay, let me get my Zoom back up. I get out of Zoom. Are you seeing a percent of sales forecast? I don't want to hide the video. I don't want to do that. Exit the most. Okay, there. They really shouldn't let me loose with this. Okay, there's what I want to share. And I think if I close this down, no, I don't want that. I want that. Let's see if I can turn it down a little bit. Okay, this takes you through it step by step. Here's the given data. 2021 sales increased 20%. They've given you what the dividends are going to be. Interest rate on debt, tax rate. There you go. And we're going to go through each of the steps here and see what we do. There's their income statement and their balance sheets. Pretty small, pretty limited for 2020. Okay. Step 1. Calculate the percent of sales for the selected income and balance sheet. Let me turn it down so get it all on the screen. Okay. Operating costs are 92% of sales. Interest is on notes payable. It says it right up there. Tax rate's 25%. They told you what dividends are going to be. You forecasted percent, can't go away. Percent of sales for all of these items. Retained earnings is going to come from the income statement. Okay. Forecast sales. There it is. If sales increases by 20%, it's going to go to $5,040,000. That's your main thing. Step 3. There you go. Forecast the balance sheet items that are percentages of sales. That's all down here because you've got sales and you've got all of these that were forecasted. The one you don't have is retained earnings because you've got to get retained earnings from up here to add in down here. Okay. Go away. Go away. Wish I could make this little thing go away. Okay. Step 4.
Hey, Dr. Cooley.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so this right here that you're showing, is this like an example of what the test will be like on the Excel templates?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just was making
sure. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. Step 4, forecast the operating cost. Okay. You come back up now to the income statement and finish off up here, and we get to addition to retained earnings, which we're going to put right there. And final step, reduce it. There you go. I'm going to add that in down here, get there, and I'm going to come up with AFN. There you can see total assets, $3,780,000. Total liabilities, $3,398,000. Guess what? They need some more funding. I think I can get to it. There's the final thing. That 381 has to go in notes payable, and now I'm balanced. The reason I broke this into steps is because I wanted you to see the back and forth. You know, you have to project sales first. Then you come down and do the balance sheet. Then you go back and do the income statement. And then you come back and finish the balance sheet. Make sense?
I'm not really following Dr. Kugler, to be honest with you.
Well,
like right there where the 4,200 and the pro forma, is that, hold on. Okay, so I get how you got that, but then underneath it at the operating cost.
yeah, 92%.
So you're saying
I got that back over here. 92% is that divided by that. This is posted out there under exhibits. This is out there.
okay. So 92%, is operating cost divided by sales.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's green, it's a percent of sales.
Okay.
The tax is not a percent of sales, and the interest is not a percent of sales, and dividends because they gave it to you. This is posted out there under exhibits. This is not a secret thing. I want you to see it there. You forecast the balance sheet right down to retained earnings, because just about everything is either, I mean, total current assets is just a sum. Total assets is just a sum. You're missing retained earnings. So you go back over and finish the income statement and get retained earnings and then add them in. And that's when you've got it out of balance. And when you add that into notes payable, you're balanced. Did that help? Or did I just make it worse?
I followed.
Well, just what I don't like, like right there where it says cash 210,000 and then 5% and then 252,000. How did you get the 252,000?
It is 5% of new sales.
Oh, okay. So it's not the 210,000 times 1 plus 5%.
No.
Yeah, okay.
It's equal to that times that.
And then for receivables,
Same thing.
same thing.
Oops, wrong one. But this is out there as a spreadsheet, so you can go and look at how I got everything.
Okay.
It's posted under exhibits, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because I wanted to go through it step by step. Because you, like I said, you need to see, oh, little thing, go away. You needed to see, like, here's what you were given. You needed to see how you do it back and forth, the back and forth part about it. You do one and then you go back and do the other one. And in this case, both the income statement and the balance sheet are so small that you can see it happening. You know, you can see, okay, we did this on step 2. Then we're going to do all of this on step 3. Then we're going to fill in all of this on step 4. And finally, you know, here's step 5. We're finally going to plug that in. Is it getting any better? I hope. Okay, this is, let me get rid of Scotch Ranks. I don't want that. No, I don't want to save it. Okay, this is right here, 2 goods and utilities. Right here. It is that one, AFN percent of sales. Right there. Your screen sharing is paused. Okay, stop the share. I'm gonna share again. I don't want that. I don't know what I want. Just share my screen. Okay. It's right there. It's under exhibits. Toolkits and exhibits. It's the second one down, AFN percent of sales. Here's a video on AFN, and I'm going to look at these AFN examples here for a minute too. Okay, let me collapse this auto hack. Yeah. Okay. This is another one you can look at, the template, and it's going to put it all together. There's what you're given, and this would be one for you to work and see and make sure you understand how to do it. There's the solution to it right there. Gonna get that thing out of the way. And it does explain it. Okay. There's your template. Now, this is your AFN formula where you are solving for the 3.21, and it's showing you doing that. This is showing you solving for AFN using the formula. Let me point something out on this. C34. How could that be? 334. Oh, okay. I'm looking here, Jay. Okay. Suppose you've got this right here. This right here. Actual 2020, and you're going to forecast 2021 using on the same template, both the percent of sales method and AFN, right? All you've got is 2020. When you're using that AFN formula, you're not using 2021. You're not using forecasted numbers except for S1. Everything else, because you don't have anything else. You've got 2020. So it is based on those numbers right down there and these numbers right down here. I've seen it before where it's all put on one, where there's also a forecast column over here for 2021. In other words, these two things were put together. When you're using the formula, all you have is the current year and the percentage of sales growth. You don't have anything else to go on. So be careful of that. And this shows you how they use the sustainable growth formula. See if I can make it bigger. There you go. Sustainable growth. Just bringing back stuff you heard before, I hope. A lot of quiet out there. A lot of quiet. Okay, give me my Zoom back. I don't want that. I want me. How come okay, stop sharing. Here I am. Okay. Is everybody here? Who was missing? Who was missing? Bradley. Bradley show up? No, I don't see him. Okay. Okay. Questions about what we're going to do, how this is going to work going forward. Let me say, just be honest and say this class is pretty different, and it usually takes folks a while to kind of get into how it's going to work, because it's so different from any other class you've had. If nothing else, like I said, you don't have a book right off the bat. That's different. It is, most people really enjoy it by the time they kind of get the hang of the thing, but we'll work through this. Now, next week, have I done everything? I've introduced it. I talked about the review. I've shown you where the tutorials are. If anybody wants a more in-depth review on Excel, email me and I'll just put it on the list for next week. Next week, everybody do financial help. It's an easy one. Group 1, that would be Stephen, Heather, and Elizabeth. Y'all are presenting Jones Electric. And group 2, yep, Chera, Shay, and JD. Y'all are on to write it up. Everybody looks so happy. Okay, email me if you have any questions about anything. If you need some feedback on anything, I will be happy to help you with it. The financial help one will it's kind of an easy start, I guess you'd say, kind of get us into it on a slow start. And those are the only 2 cases we're doing on, well, Tire City is financial analysis, but it's an individual case. The next week I will lecture on weighted average cost of capital. And then I don't lecture for a while. We're going to have a bunch of cases. Marriott, Ameritrade, Pacific Grove Spice. I really like that one. American Home Products and Philip Morris Craft. A lot of silence out there. Questions?
I think I've got it. I think we're pretty good. I am on the other hand. I can't speak for others. The group things seem pretty interesting. So the case studies is what we'll present, and then my group will write up the case studies. If that's essentially what you're saying.
You write it up. You solve it and write it up.
Yeah.
And everybody's supposed to read it. You're all supposed to have read it. They're not long. Harvard considers these brief cases in the sense that some of their cases would be like a whole semester long project with your team. These are not. These are like maybe 7 or 8 pages, which includes the exhibits, which are the numbers, which are in the template. So the actual case may only be 2 or 3 pages. I mean, it's not a huge thing to read. So I think you'll find it interesting once you get into it. But like I say, it's more like real life. They may give you, like, here are the current rates on treasury bills and treasury bonds over the last 5 years. What are you going to use for a risk-free rate? You decide and defend what you chose. I mean, go for it. Much like you'd have to do. Questions?
Good deal.
Everybody good to go? Nice to see all of y'all. Any questions about anything? You all who've had me before already know. Just email me. I'll. There's Shay. He's got his little face up there. You had your video off. Okay. Email me if you have any questions. Get together with your group, which even if we were live, you would be doing it remotely anyway. So have at it. On the group things. There's 3 of you in the group. I don't care how you divide it up. You can decide one person's going to create the PowerPoint and one's going to work on the Excel and one's going to try to work toward whatever it is you all decide. It's okay. I just want everybody to work on it, and you can put all your work together. No specific leader of a group. And just for the record, I'm not a big fan of group activity, but for these cases, it's the best choice. The cases that you're going to do as a group are too involved really to do alone. There. So the individual cases you can handle by yourself. The group cases are a bit more involved. So it'll just work better. Besides, out in the big world, you might as well get used to working with people. It happens. Sometimes you have to. Okay. Y'all have a good one. I'll see you next Wednesday. Email me any questions or anything you want to. Boy, that went fast. I zipped past that in an hour.
Thank you.
First night I didn't expect it to last very long. Any questions, anything you think of you'd like to know, just let me know. And it's good to see all of y'all.
Yes, ma'am. You as well.
It's going to be interesting.
See you, Dr. Kugler. Good to see you again.
Okie doke. Always good to see you guys. Hey, Chara. Good to see Elizabeth. Good to see familiar faces.